to be honest, to be in this position now, but what a week she's
I
had.
would agree with you. She really came in all guns blazing for that boulder event and put in a good performance in lead 2.
Yeah, Eliska Adamovska on stage, precision. I think she's just she's a good climber to watch because she has very good technique, she's very precise.
She's very pretty. She's like a pretty
Yes.
climber.
Yeah, I would agree. There's no
Very elegant.
Yeah, there's no extras with her.
Yeah.
And Jessie Pilz, would it be a combined final without that lady there? What a legend. That lady, Hannah Moyle, the only German athlete in this final. And again, a great season leading up to this point.
Yeah, incredible. She's always showed so much talent and promise, but she's really come into her own this year with medals in boulder and, yeah, a lead final the other day.
Absolutely. And then Janja Garnbret, I mean, she's got to be the favourite to take victory here today, but she's human and anything can happen.
Yeah, she worked just as hard as everyone else to get to this point, and it's a treat for us all to be able to see her and hopefully see her challenged.
Absolutely. Well, those are the athletes, and we're starting off with boulder, and the rules are slightly different. And I know if you're watching at home and you are a seasoned climber, you'll be saying, well, the rules have been different all week. Well, they're especially different today. Including this decibel system, we have 2 zones in the boulder, but we'll chat about more of that in a minute because we're seeing the athletes presented onto the stage. Molly, what was it like for you when you walked out through that curtain the other day?
Oh, it was great. What a backdrop to have. And such an amazing crowd to walk out to. Psyched for absolutely anyone and everyone. And yeah, what you want to see before you pull onto the wall for sure.
Yeah, they're standing there in the shade in front of the crowd who have all gathered down the front. They're being sprayed with water by the mascot just to keep them cool. Janja there, she's down as Yevgenia, but she prefers Janja, so I think we'll maybe stick with that one.
Yeah, Janja to us all.
Great to see Ukraine represented. Her teammate Daniel Baldyrev winning the speed the other day, which was super emotional for everyone.
For sure.
Mia Krampel is announced, along with Jessie Pilz and Janja Garnbret, Olympians, so they're used to this kind of a pressure. I chatted to Camila Moroni's coach the other day. He was in the climbing wall, and he was telling me how he's impressed with her because she's such a good role model for the sport.
Yeah.
Because she's really lovely, she's really nice, she's super strong, and a good one to look up to.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's so easy to take inspiration from all of these ladies, but Camilla is definitely someone that I look at and think, wow, what an athlete.
Eliska Adamovska, her teammate Adam Ondra, who won the lead the other day. She's such a talented athlete in her own right. There is Jessie. I mean, Molly, I feel like I've been watching Jessie for years.
I mean, she's 1 year older than me, so I've known her since I was about 12, 13 years old. And yeah, it's always been cool to follow her journey.
Hannah Moyle taped up on the left arm. She was one of the athletes struggling getting treatment backstage the other day because of cramp or something like that. It was a brutal couple of days.
Oh, 100%, especially when you're climbing all of the rounds.
Yeah, exactly. And then Janja, well, she had a hesitation on the women's boulder final. We all thought, oh my goodness, she is human. Is she going to mess it up? And then came back from nothing.
I know. It was quite an unexpected start to that boulder final, but Janja did what Janja does and always brought it back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is our wall. It's 4.5 meters tall, and slightly different from the graphic you're seeing on screen is there's 2 zones per boulder. The first one worth 3 points, the second worth 6, and then the top is worth 25. And the athletes get minus 0.1 for every unsuccessful attempt, every time they fall off, basically. Molly, we're looking at these boulders for the first time, and immediately they are long.
Yes, definitely longer than what we're used to. I think boulder scoring has been through a few little changes over the years. At first, it was about doing climbs quickly and attempts mattered, and then we kind of moved into being more around it, getting more zones as well. And now we're back to attempts actually being quite important as well.
Yeah, so there are the 2 zones, 3 points and 6 points indicated on the screen. And it is worth remembering that this is a test event for the Olympics. So if you're watching at home, don't just sort of like throw your arms up in despair. Things can change if they go wrong. And it's just a process of sort of fine-tuning climbing and the scoring system as well. So it might not be forever.
Rest day for all of climbing yesterday, but a lot of these athletes went to watch other events, came out to watch the speed the day before as well. I think the athletics was pretty popular last night.
Yeah, 100 metres final, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think almost all of these guys were watching. so cool to be part of such a massive event. I think it's the beginning of climbing's journey in this sort of environment.
I agree, and it fits in so well, doesn't it? It doesn't feel out of place. This is where we belong as a sport.
Yeah, walking around Munich, you hear people talking about the climbing, and it's just so cool that it's so popular.
I've heard it's more popular than BMX, but don't tell anyone that, but that's the rumour I've heard. Well, the women now get 2 minutes to look at each boulder, so they get to work out how to climb it. They're not allowed to touch any holds apart from the first few, can't pull off the ground, but you will see them feeling those holds and trying to work out the sequences. And of course, Molly, we talked about it before, but the athletes discuss the beat amongst themselves, and that's kind of unique for sport, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Climbing is such a friendly sport, and it's really cool to see athletes working together. A lot of the time it feels like it's athletes versus the routes or the route setters. So this observation period is really important for gathering as much information as possible yourself, and then also talking to everyone else, because once you do come out to climb, it's just you.
I've always wanted to ask this, and you don't need to give me an answer, but do you have it in the back of your head that you sort of have to keep relationships friendly between other athletes? Because presumably if you go into the isolation area and burn all your bridges, no one's going to help you.
That is a good question. I think it's pretty uncommon to have climbing animosity, I'd say, within the competitors. But I think all of these guys are just friends anyways. They go on rock climbing trips in the off season. They make journeys to train with each other, visit each other, sometimes go on holidays with each other or move in with each other. So I think it's pretty easy for everyone to get on.
Okay, that's fair enough, and a good diplomatic answer there as well. Very impressed by that. Well,
you.
they are looking. 3 Slovenians though in this final. Yannick Garnbret, Mia Krampel. So I'm trying to find the third one. Two Slovenians in this final. Apologies, there's too many white T-shirts on stage. And obviously teammates, that does help a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine there'll be competition there, but they're so used to being around each other, train together, compete against each other for years. And I think it's definitely nice to have that kind of comfort blanket, having someone you're really comfortable with and who just gets you and knows you. So, and obviously to share beta with as well.
So they are almost, well, they're through boulder number 2. Now looking at boulder number 3, I see pockets as an undercling up to that first zone.
I see bow.
Yeah, exactly. Physical on that overhang. And with this wall, it's a small wall for sure, which has limited the route setters a little bit. They've got to be quite creative with the setting here.
Yeah, for sure, especially with the 2 zones on the boulders, them being longer. I wonder how much it'll change the style, whether we'll see it become almost a bit more like lead climbing.
Yeah, well, I've chatted to a few of them, and they sort of agree with that assessment, because you've got to, because you can't have, I mean, there are a few zones right next to each other, but you've got to have it looking balanced. And you can't just have 6 points right next to the top hold.
Yeah, or right next to the first zone.
Exactly.
It has to be well split throughout the boulder, I guess, which means that, yeah, maybe the intensity of the boulder will come down because there'll be more moves.
Yeah, that could be the case. And also, I mean, we'll talk about the lead scoring later on, but is lead getting more bouldery, or is it just still an endurance fest?
Yeah, I guess you only get a score from about a third of the way up the route, so it kind of condenses all the intensity of the route into, half the wall almost.
So interesting.
So boulder's more like lead and lead more like boulder.
Yeah, exactly. It's all flipped on its head. Very strange. Well, look, there is that top 25 score. Nice to see it written on the wall. Yeah, minus 0.1. And the scoring system works like this. And again, there should be graphics. It should be quite clear for you watching at home. But the lead score is added to the boulder score. So let's say they score 100 points, which is the maximum for boulder, and then they score 20 points for lead. Their score will be 120 at the end of it, and that's how it's worked out. Don't worry, we'll be taking you through it. Molly's got a book. She actually brought, it's like a homework you've got with you.
I brought a notebook just because a lot of you wanted help working out the scores, and I think I'm going to need some help working out the scores. A lot of you have asked if this is new for us, if we've practiced it, and I'm pretty sure most athletes, this is the first time they've ever even thought about this combination format of lead and boulder.
Yeah, the only event we've had before this was a test event in Barcelona, and Alberto Jimenez Lopez was the only one from the current squad who did it.
I wonder if that would be an advantage. I do wonder if there'll be any tactical kind of changes, advantages that Alberto will use in his event tomorrow.
Yeah, he won it as well, so he's obviously quite good at it.
So he's confident in this format.
Yeah, he should be, hopefully, but we'll see. It'll be very interesting. So there is Chloe Collier having a look again, strapped up on her neck. And she had that whiplash. She fell off and got a sort of, a smash on the pads.
Yeah, I've seen her getting physio treatment pretty much every day in the athletes' lounge. It looks like she's really feeling the accumulation of rounds of this event.
Well, that's our final boulder on the slab. And very similar in terms of style to how most of the boulders have been set on that. It starts on the left, goes towards the right. Hannah Moyle there having a long look, trying to figure it out.
Hannah, very, very, very good at slab climbing.
Yeah, she is. She is indeed. She was so happy when she got a medal for the lead as well.
Oh, for sure. She's just a very happy climber. Definitely sticks out. Always looks almost posed on the wall in photos.
Yes, it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I look like I'm trying so hard.
All right, so 6 seconds left of this observation period, and now the women will leave the stage, go back into the cooler, I don't know what to call it, sort of antechamber behind there, where that historical building is.
Yeah, the columns provide quite a good breeze back there, and it's a very cool place to just sit and hang out and wait to climb in an event like this.
I got to hang out there yesterday when no one else was in the stadium, and it's really atmospheric in there.
It is. I know, it's definitely a soak this moment in vibe.
Well, the women still talking as they go back on.
Yeah, observation may only be 6 minutes or however many minutes per boulder en route, but it goes on much longer in isolation. You see, it must take at least double the amount of time to get back to isolation as it does walking out to the wall, because people are still miming the route, they're still asking questions, and sometimes in ISO, 15 minutes later, half an hour later, someone will come up and be like, Molly, what did you think about this section? And I'm like, honestly, I cannot remember.
Good insight there. So, as Molly said, this is Molly Thompson-Smith in the commentary box with GB climber. Didn't make it through, but she is with us here today, and we're really close to starting. Esmia Krampel speaking in Slovenian. Wish I spoke Slovenian. I don't.
Yeah, me too. Maybe I would understand how to do all the climbs.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be a better climber if I did.
It is always interesting who reads with each other as well. Like, language becomes a barrier almost sometimes. I think climbing is a language itself. And hand movements, miming out the boulder can get you so far, but all of these women speak English, and so we'll all read together. But at World Cups, it can be quite tricky sometimes to communicate with people from a bit further afield.
Yeah, this is, of course, a European event, so we missed the Japanese, Korean, American athletes who are usually there.
I think it's hard to keep the tension.
Hard to keep the tension, says Hannah Moyle.
This.
This is fascinating.
This.
I know, I never usually hear this.
No.
And then there is this thing. Yeah, it's okay, I guess.
So I just wanted to be quiet there for a second. I wanted to listen to that.
Yeah, me too. Snooping.
Is it a little bit off-putting? We don't usually have cameras. In an IFSC World Cup event, you don't see that always.
For sure. It's definitely a bit off-putting. You kind of want to go through your normal routine, your process before you come out, but there's someone telling you can't stand there, or you need to be further back, or no, wait, and now you walk. So it is definitely, a little different. But I think most of these ladies will be kind of used to having some sort of camera around.
Yeah, they've certainly got used to it over the week. It's been there the whole time. So that's our top 8 qualified from the single events for the boulder and the lead. Their positions were combined to get this ranking. And it's interesting looking at that list. I mean, there's just a range of sort of people coming through, and then the established ones. There's people I'd expect to be there. Jessie, Janja Garnbret.
For sure.
And then there's others like Hannah, who's come through in the last year. Chloe Collier, who's a bit of an outsider.
Anna Lishka, who I'm not sure if she's made a Boulder World Cup semi.
No, she's an elite climber.
I think even she was so surprised by how the boulder round went for her. She was thrilled. But yeah, she is definitely your typical lead climber and has been on a journey to learn all these new boulder skills. And yeah, it's great to see that it's been paying off for her.
Now we're watching Jessie Pilz filing her fingers down. In a sport that's all about skin, why is she getting